Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download the title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/BEAT. Man, these two shows a week. I mean, though, you know, we're working double time, but
working double time.
Only that way we can still cover everything that we had and you know intentionally planned on covering.
Right.
So the second show for this week, if you've heard the show, Toy Story 2 is already out.
Right. Toy Story 2 already dropped today.
It drops today. And as it drops today, we're recording our second show of the week. With that being said, what's up? Welcome back to the Classics, the cinematic movie podcast that takes you back to the iconic films of 20 years ago, right here on the Big Three, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Got all three? I got all three. What's up, man? I'm Jay Alonzo. With me, of course, is
Danger Neff. What's going on, partner?
I literally just saw you.
Yeah, I mean, like 2 days ago.
We need to have,
and then you're going to see me tomorrow,
and
because
then
we're celebrating the Big 3 too.
Yeah, yes. I've been hanging out with Dave practically all fucking week, so
it's true.
It's very true.
We've been on the phone talking about 2020 schedule, which we pretty much have set down,
and it's a good one, people.
It is.
It's a good one.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I am worried about the 2021 schedule because I look through the first 3 months and I'm like, oh, this is hot garbage.
It's bad. I can definitely tell you the ones I'm looking forward to doing for 2021, like Swordfish for sure.
Sure.
I would say Sugar and Spice is another one I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that was end of February.
Yeah, but that's that first, I know Swordfish is more like springtime, but I know that is definitely first 3 months.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's hot garbage.
But when I tell you that the 2020 slate for BTCC and Super Throwback is going to be insane. I mean, insane. To the point we had to really debate what could we take out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's going to be tough. We're going to be changing small formats of the show, so you'll notice that over the next upcoming weeks. Especially after 2020 drops.
Yes.
So make sure you check us out, not only on the podcast side, but on the YouTube side. All
right, so we got some beat news. Well, not like you haven't already heard the shit. We were just here a couple days ago. But Turn My Mic Up. The Noise presents Turn My Mic Up, the new show with Beat Network, exclusively on YouTube, starring the boys from the Noise, Hollywood Kev and Big Los, myself, as well as King Corey from Over the Top of LV, and of course our guy RJ from Jesus Christ.
We did
it
again.
And the thing was, I had the name of the thing in my brain, I was gonna say Scattered Gems. That's not what the fuck it's called. That's definitely not what that is called.
Oh, we are so bad at this.
Oh my god. He's like, dude, what the fuck? You really can't get the name of my show?
I'm like one of your co-hosts. How do you not know what show I'm on?
I know your shit.
I follow you. I follow your shit.
I follow your shit too.
I'm
just listen, bro. Listen. I'm sorry. From Laced Rhymes. I want to say Uncut Scattered Rhymes so bad. You know why? I really have
thinking of Uncut Gems.
I really have Uncut Gems on the mind. Right. I cannot wait to see that fucking movie. But
Laced Rhymes.
Laced Rhymes. RJ of Laced Rhymes. I'm looking so fucking good in this show.
No. Let's blast his IG so people can actually see that we're actually being serious here.
Okay. So I gotta find his fucking IG. Okay, no, I'm sorry. RJ _ Rick James 87 on IG. Blast him right now. He's I'm telling you, the dude is a hip hop nut. I do believe he should be joining us tomorrow. I'm not sure for the birthday thing. I'm not too sure.
I know you invited everybody.
I invited a lot of people. So, but it's basically gonna be the fellas out doing what the fellas do.
That's right.
Lord help us.
Lord help them.
Yes, but Turn My Mic Up drops next Sunday, November 29th drops next Friday, November 29th on Black Friday. Looking forward to it, man.
It's going to be 100%. A lot of fun.
So, it's been a whopping 24 hours, 48 hours now since last time I saw you. What's changed?
Let's see. I made the 2020 schedule, and I slept, and I ate. It was Taco Wednesday yesterday. How about you? What has changed in the last 48 hours?
I went to work. Went home, made myself a nice dinner, and then I came back to the studio. But I am looking forward to it because tomorrow does kick off my my birthday weekend. I will be leaving work early.
Oh, look at you!
So I get off work at 2 instead of 5.
Oh.
And then of course, the guys will be getting together tomorrow night to we're gonna go out to dinner, and then we're gonna go do a little bit of partying. That's a very vague statement. We're gonna go to an event called R&B Only here in Las Vegas.
Right.
Dave's coming too, which is dope because Dave never comes anywhere with us.
This is so true.
So yes,
I'm such a hermit. It's usually video games for me, and that's about it.
Like no,
I was like, no. I'll go out. I'll be the getaway driver.
Yes, the one who needs to talk to the police, just in case. The one who said, "What's your badge number?"
I need your badge number. What's your superior officer's name?
It's cool. Dave got it.
Superior officer's name. Vein all coming out of my neck and everything.
No, I will not calm down.
I will not calm down.
See,
I belong here.
Told you. Dave's got it. We're good.
I am an American taxpayer. I'm your boss.
I pay your salary, bucko. 100%.
Now be careful before I do my spinning kick to let my piggies hit your puddum.
Shout out to Pete Holmes for that one. I love that. Okay, so we have some more news that we wanted to go ahead and discuss that has broke in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, basically this has been like a 48, 72-hour thing, but it wasn't necessarily something we wanted covered on
the
Toy
first
Story 2. So the first bit of news that came out, a lot of conflicting news that's basically coming out. The idea of Joker 2 has been quote-unquote confirmed, but it's not confirmed. Basically, it seems like the idea of a contract has been out there, but nothing's been signed, sealed, or delivered.
Yeah, what makes the news so odd is like the news of it's happening and the news that it's not happening literally comes from two very solid sources as far as the two solid platforms that you typically go to for your everyday Hollywood news. A Hollywood Reporter reported that Joker 2 is a go. Meanwhile, Deadline saying, no, it's not a go. Both of them have sources within Warner Brothers saying one thing and another source saying the other.
And Todd Phillips has now confirmed that nothing has been signed.
Right.
Basically. There's not a contract that's out there.
What he said was basically no contract has been signed, but obviously talks are happening.
Sure.
So what I feel like what this is, well, first of all, let's get it out there. Joker 2, do we want it? No. Shout out to Joker because Joker has now crossed the $1 billion mark.
Congratulations.
And so for me, I think it crossed the $1 billion mark because one, it is sold heavily on the fact that this is a one-shot deal with Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips for this standalone origin story of the Joker. Okay, cool. So therefore, we're gonna get this one shot at this master at work. You know, in a movie that for some people had definitely doubted at one point, but when it came and it shocked us. So now that it's out, it's crossed $1 billion. I don't need a Joker 2.
I don't either.
And I feel like it
tarnishes the legacy
of the first movie. It breaks it pretty much defeats the purpose of the first movie. There's no point
because
in it now.
I've never imagined, the Batman's coming out in 2 years.
2021, yeah.
And there's been some casting news from that. Colin Farrell is playing the Penguin.
Has he now signed on to do that?
Yeah, he signed on to do it. Which, interesting choice. I'm not against it. I thought Josh Gad would have actually been a pretty solid casting on that.
Yeah.
But okay, I get it. You want maybe a little bit more serious of a take.
Yeah, Colin Farrell makes some very interesting choices nowadays. I'm just the Penguin.
Yeah,
I'm curious about that one.
I kind of. You ever see a movie with him called Tigerland?
Yes.
Such a solid movie with him. It was the first time I actually really started to like him. And then he came out with like In Bruges, and that was really great. Anyway,
also like a Home at the End of the World. That's a great performance by him as well.
It is. Back to the Joker 2 news. Basically, it tarnishes the legacy. There's been some news coming out for the Batman, but the truth is that this is just news. I've never imagined Joaquin Phoenix is actually going to go up against Robert Pattinson, and I feel like if that actually happens, you're kind of there's no point. You're ruining it. The Joker feels like a more evil version of Birdman. You know,
right?
It's like Birdman was kind of like this look on a guy who kind of lost it all and was looking to try to get back in society, so he had to make a drastic move, and he was known for a superhero movie. Joker feels like a guy who never really got his chance, and both of them kind of showcase mental illness in their own ways and fashions. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't really need to see more Joaquin Phoenix as Joker. I feel like he's ready to, if he wants to take on a bigger role, he should take on a bigger role. I just don't think I need another Joker movie.
I'm at the point where, for me, let's say tomorrow Warner Brothers comes out with an official statement. You know, yes, the deal is done. Joker 2 is definitely happening. I'm not gonna front like I'm not gonna go see it. But I can tell you this: the delivery of said movie just doesn't feel as genuine as the first one did. Like the first one, we garnered genuine excitement. I couldn't wait to see it because one, the casting of Joaquin Phoenix and his name's been thrown around the superhero movie world for a while, for like Doctor Strange and all that.
Right.
So now we get him in a comic book movie about the Joker, and knowing the caliber that Joaquin Phoenix brings, he's gonna go deep to that character.
Sure.
So now, really giving it some real thought is like I don't think Joaquin is willing to go back down that road again. He had to go to some dark place to pull that out.
I don't know. He seems weird enough. That
he does seem pretty odd. For like,
he's like, oh, you mean Sunday nights? Sure, yeah. I could show Sundays every week for 6 weeks.
I'll paint my face and paint my tongue in just for the sheer fuck of it. Why not? But once again, no, money does talk, and the movie has now crossed $1 billion. I don't see from a business standpoint. Yeah, no fucking brainer. Joker 2's got to happen now,
right?
But from an artistic standpoint, from simply enjoying the first movie and really you selling us on the fact that this is a one and done thing, I would rather not have a sequel.
Solid words.
So that's just me.
The other bit of news that we kind of dropped, or not that we dropped, but the other bit that has dropped is the upcoming movie Harriet.
I believe it's already out.
Is it?
Yeah, it's already out.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is, which is weird because that should have had a bigger release.
It was met with much scrutiny because it's almost like people, and I think this news does kind of add to that. But as far as like, it was just already off rip, like we didn't really need a Harriet Tubman movie. But at the same time, it's bullshit outrage for most part. A lot of people are really outraged for the most dumbest of reasons. Like, as far as like Cynthia Erivo, the woman who plays Harriet Tubman, is not American; she's actually British. So that's an issue for a lot of people. And I guess I want to say the screenwriter of the movie is not black. It's actually a white man that wrote it.
So,
but the director is black. Casey Lemons is the director of the movie. Anyway, when the first trailer came for this movie, the overall response to it was, nah, I'm good on this. And really, to be completely fair about it, in 2019, I can't speak for every movie fan out there. We're kind of over the slave thing. You feel what I'm saying? It's more so. I know. I'm just speaking.
I ain't touching that one.
No. Here's the thing. In an era where we now have Black Panther, we now have movies like Get Out. The narrative has really changed. It's been 7 years since 12 Years a Slave, something like that.
Right.
Roughly. That was the last slave movie outside of Birth of a Nation, the Nat Turner movie. That's been the last time we've gotten a slave movie that actually hadn't had a certain kind of impact. But even that was met with scrutiny because the director was blamed for the rape that he was already acquitted of years back. But since then, no, Black Panther has now set a new narrative. Since then, Get Out and movies by African American filmmakers, African American writers, starring African American actors and actresses, the narrative has changed.
Right.
The fact that we can now be the superheroes, we can now be the hero of the story instead of the criminal or the one that got our ass beat or whatever the case may be. So when I see the outrage that people are just kind of cool on the Harriet Tubman story, I can't say you're wrong in feeling that way. I want to see if what I'm going to get out of it is what they tend to give me. Fine. But at the same time, if you tell me like I'm kind of good on the slave movie, I who am I to say you're wrong in feeling that way?
So here's what the latest outrage on this was. The Harriet Tubman biopic Harriet, basically in an interview about the movie, screenwriter Gregory Allen Howard spoke about when he first brought on board to pen the movie for Disney in the early 90s. So keep in mind of the era here. It's the early 1990s. From the interview, here's what it said. Harriet, which was set up at Disney 26 years ago, was my first assignment. When I got in the business, I wanted to tell these historical stories by turning them into entertainment. I didn't want to give history lessons. I wanted to turn Harriet Tubman's life, which I've studied in college, into an action-adventure movie. The climate in Hollywood, however, was very different back then. I was told how one studio head said in a meeting, "This script is fantastic. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman." When someone pointed out that Roberts couldn't be Harriet, the executive responded, "It was so long ago, no one is going to know the difference." All right, I'm going to start this one because I have a lot of comments on this.
Okay, so before you get to your, let me ask you a genuine question.
Can Julia Roberts play a black woman?
No. That wasn't my question. That wasn't my question at all. Here's my question. Okay, so we do understand that 26 years ago was quite some time ago, for sure.
We're talking 1993.
Right. So the climate in Hollywood was very different back in the day.
Absolutely. Julia Roberts was the up and coming and
the rising star at the time, yeah,
and would soon become one of the biggest stars in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. So let's just say hypothetically, you are in this boardroom and you're getting this pitch for Harriet Tubman movie, and then one of your colleagues hits you with this sounds great. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman.
All right. First of all, it's not a colleague. This is a studio head, so this is somebody I got to answer to.
What's your wait? Excuse me?
I mean, kind of. I get it to an extent because the idea of whitewashing was absolutely prominent. I mean, there's been some really bad cases, and probably the worst one in my eyes is John Wayne playing Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
the cowboy himself playing good old Genghis Khan. Anyways,
and nobody thought there was a problem with this.
And I personally have a lot of problems with this because I want to have a genuine feel to it. Now, other examples of whitewashing that's happened in recent years, it kind of actually depends on the source material. But a lot of people, when the complaint of whitewashing always happens, they say they don't picture the person looking like this. Edge of Tomorrow is a perfectly good example. Mm-hmm. Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise is supposed to be played by an Asian man.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't really that one didn't have a really big impact on that. The worst one and probably most recent year was, I think it's called The Wall, which is based on The Wall of China, which Matt Damon,
yep,
who is blonde hair, blue eyes, plays the lead star for China, which again is a major issue. Look, it's already hard enough for minorities to get top billing and posting on these roles.
Right.
And I'm one of those people that when it comes to the Oscars, in my opinion, I look at the acting performances more than anything. Who acted the best? It's why, for example, in 2007 or 2009, when the movie Warrior came out, I was adamant that Nick Nolte deserved an Academy Award nomination. Maybe not the award itself, but a nomination. Lo and behold, he got it because he fucking killed that role.
Yes.
But whitewashing is a massive problem, and I think that in today's culture, people are getting better at it. There's always going to be problems with certain castings. And the one thing that I always worry about now is that, okay, what if a book is written and the book is describing a person that looks like Ving Rhames and a Ving Rhames skin color, and they bring in a light-skinned person instead? All right, Ving Rhames isn't exactly the darkest person out there, but if it's somebody that's mixed, all of a sudden there's going to be these issues because you're not getting the perfect tone. The climate in 1993 was absolutely different than the climate in 2019.
Well, okay, so okay, this is what I'll say to this, because I think we're also missing a very important thing here, right? So even in the climate that we have now, like, if there's been talks of making James Bond black when they would consider Idris Elba to play him,
and I'm cool with that.
I'm totally cool with that, because James Bond's not a real person. James Bond's a character,
right?
So,
but a real person like Harriet Tubman, which we have photographs of, who belongs on, who's on money, who's proposed to be money. We know what she looks like. We have a general idea of what she looks like, and we have photographs of her behavior.
Which,
probably shouldn't be a white person.
That's what I'm saying. If you're playing a character, a made up person, skin tone shouldn't necessarily matter unless it fits that particular character for this particular story. Harriet Tubman is a real person.
Right.
She really walked this earth.
Right.
And as we know her to be, she is not only a black woman, a dark-skinned black woman.
Right.
Where the fuck do you feel like, Julia Roberts, nobody knows the difference? There's a big fucking difference.
I don't know. Now, I want to speak a little bit on comments that I've known that I've said in the past about Little Mermaid. Okay? Because when the Little Mermaid casting came out, the idea was that this is a story, fictional character. Yeah, I totally get it. When the Disney live-action remake was casted, and we got the casting that we had for Ariel, I'm gonna we know she's from the pop group.
What's the name of the group? Shit.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's whatever.
So it's okay.
She's on Grownish as well.
Right. I initially had some problems with it, and the reason why is because we've had adaptations of Ariel in the past in terms of the cartoon wise, and she has traditionally been light skinned, red hair. Right? She was a white girl with red hair and blue eyes. Do I necessarily have a problem with it nowadays? No, but I get those that kind of want to have a little bit closer to the source material, especially because this would be the first actual considered version of that. That being said, I'm past that. Like it is what it is, and I'm excited to see what they're going to make of it. But there has to be some continuity with it.
Well, you see the difference between you wanting her to be a bit more close to the source material, not because of the skin tone. I would like to see Ariel look like this,
right?
But at the same time, you're not married to the idea,
right?
And once again, Ariel's a fucking cartoon, so essentially that leaves it open to, like, for example, here's a better example. In the Batman cartoon series, Harvey Dent is a black man,
right?
In all the reincarnations of Harvey Dent via movie-wise, it's been a white dude.
No, that's not true.
Well, no, because Tommy Lee Jones.
No.
Aaron Eckhart.
No. Billy D. Williams was Harvey Dent.
And you're right. You're absolutely right.
In the original, too. And he was supposed to play him in the third one, but a contract could not come together.
Oh, fact check me. Excuse me.
I have to fact check you because that one is something that I know Tim Burton fought for.
To get really Billy D.
Absolutely. He fought for that.
Okay. I stand corrected. But
later on, sure. No,
right.
No problem on that.
Right. But once again, if we decided to make an Elvis biopic, and you know what? You know, make a great fucking Elvis. Give me Idris Elba as Elvis. Let him gain a little weight. I guarantee it'll kill. You be up in fucking arms like, wait, you don't put Idris Elba as fucking Elvis?
But then I could see like Bruno Mars doing it, and I think everybody would be okay with it.
And the thing is though, let's say you got that Idris Elba casting, and there was so much outrage. Like, you know what? You're right. We fucked up. You just say, you know what, I won't do it anymore. So now you grab Bruno Mars.
Right.
Granted, somebody still can be pissed.
Sure.
But it definitely eases the blow a little bit.
Same thing with the other casting. What's her name?
But there's no way you're going to give me a Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. No.
Emma Stone played a Hawaiian girl.
Yeah, and the Bradley Cooper.
They were trying to recapture.
Aloha.
Right. They were trying to recapture some chemistry there from like past roles and whatnot.
Johnny Depp was Tonto.
Right. There's problems everywhere that they can get. So in '93, I'll be honest, I'm curious what they would have done to try to make that fly.
And how do you really make that fly?
You don't. Julia Roberts doesn't belong in action and adventure movies, for starters. And two, first of all, if you were to even try to make that fly, it can't be Harriet Tubman. It has to be a Harriet Tubman-like character.
No, you can't call her Harriet Tubman. No, absolutely not.
You have to call her like Harriet Hubman or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of all of our movie news. Stop whitewashing Hollywood.
Yeah, the point of it all is stop fucking whitewashing. This is ridiculous. Like, but you know what? You got to give Hollywood its credit because they've learned along the way that shit just does not fly today.
Yeah, it just takes like 80 years to figure it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're late to the party. It's all good though.
Message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download the title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audible.com/BEAT to get started. Why Audible? Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. I personally use Audible more frequently than I initially imagined that I would. The Audible originals are a lot of fun to kind of get. Plus, you basically get a free book every single month as long as you're signed up with it.
Word.
To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/beat. Again, that's audibletrial.com/BEAT for your free audiobook.
All right, kicking off the second movie for this week. We've done 4 episodes in 2 weeks. Man, okay.
Are we tired of being here?
A little bit. Today's movie, taking it back, really the same month of the same year, maybe like 2 weeks prior. The Insider. Original release date, November 5th of 1999. Shares opening weekend with The Bachelor and the movie we did a couple weeks ago, The Bone Collector. Production budget was $68 million with a box office total of $60.2 million. Currently at a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes and nominated for 7 Academy Awards with Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Actor for Russell Crowe, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound.
Yeah. It kind of deserves it. The year 1999 was a weird year for the Academy Awards because for whatever reason, a terrible movie called American Beauty.
I knew you were going to go
there. Was somehow the darling of everything. And so imagine this. American Beauty is one of those movies that has really not aged well. For some odd reason, they try to convince us that Kevin Spacey can be a reformed person, which, hey, what do you know? In today's climate, that's probably not very likely.
You're like, you know, it's funny how you know irony.
Yeah, remember when he tried to check out, and almost made out with a high school senior, in this movie? Or what about the beautiful art in this movie by watching a paper bag fly around? This movie had so many weird twists and turns that a traditional movie about an actual Washington scandal did not get the nomination. In fact, it wasn't even close to even becoming Best Picture. The only other movie that would have came close that year was Cider House Rules, which I explained last episode that the only reason why I didn't get it was because it was about black people being nurses and helping out with abortions.
Like The Help.
Exactly.
But Julia Roberts should totally
But of course, this was in the perspective of a white male. So, whatever.
But you know what? Julia Roberts should totally be Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, she should be. Absolutely. And Kevin Spacey is an angel.
Fucking kill yourself.
Anyways, so the Insider though told a very true story about the importance of whistleblower protection, as well as the importance of feeling you should be capable to report news regardless if the news is damaging or not.
Now, I do love the timing of this movie because, I mean, it's insane how it relates to present day.
For those of you who aren't familiar, today is the 5th day of the impeachment inquiry.
Oh, you've been watching with your popcorn.
Oh, I had popcorn, I had wine, I had everything. I was like,
oh, baby, turn the lights down. The news is coming on.
My soap operas, except it was real.
I want all that.
For those of you who aren't familiar, it's the 5th day of the impeachment inquiry, in which the argument of did the President Trump have a quid quo pro with Ukraine into looking into finding dirt on former Vice President Joe Biden and his son for his work with Burisma, which is an oligarchy in Ukraine. The office of the president should not be used in terms of finding your own personal gain. That's why this impeachment inquiry is actually in place. But hey, a quick little soapbox moment for myself here on this. You think the minute that we got the guy, or the minute that we voted him in, he decided not to basically step away from his own personal businesses in the first place.
No, I'm going to be the president, and I'm going to do this over here too.
Right. Anyways, that's going to be my soapbox.
So
moment.
That's cool? Okay. All right. I got you.
That's my soapbox moment. This movie came out, and it's basically based upon a script from an article from Vanity Fair from Marie Brenner, known as The Man Who Knew Too Much. It stars Al Pacino, has Russell Crowe in it, who this is literally right when Russell starts acting his ass off.
He's really on the run now.
I mean, he starts killing it at the start of this movie. Supporting actors Chris Plummer is in it, Bruce McGill, Diane Venora, and Michael Gambon is also in it as well. Basically, this is... So I got to be a little fair on this because this is a fictionalized account on a true story. So what that means is that very likely there's some Hollywood moments in this. And I remember reading an article later on when we were initially going to cover this movie. And basically the producer of 60 Minutes at the time, who actually stated this, he said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that was absolutely true, but there's also going to be some stuff that's going to be Hollywoodized
right.
in this, and a lot of importance with this movie kind of speak upon it. And I'm going to give you a very, very brief rundown of what happens towards the beginning, and then we're going to talk about more of the importance of some of these things that kind of come out. So
now, real quick, have you seen the documentary Mike Wallace is Here?
Yes. Mike Wallace, let me be fair. Mike Wallace, who is the father of Chris Wallace, I'm not sure if you know that, on Fox News.
Not Biggie Smalls.
And Mike Wallace is a legend. He may actually be the most important anchor in the history of network television. Yes, I know there have been others, and I know somewhere someone's going to be... Someone is going to throw out other names. Walter Cronkite being the first
Brokaw.
one. Tom Brokaw, another one that's going to be thrown out there. And but Mike Wallace and 60 Minutes as a program. As a kid, I was too young to understand it. As an adult, I would find a newfound appreciation for it.
That's all I remember. Like, oh, it's about to be some shit.
Pretty much. So there's a prologue that establishes that basically the producer Lowell Bergman, who is the producer at 60 Minutes and host Mike Wallace, as they prepare to basically interview Sheikh Fadallah for 60 Minutes. By the way, Sheikh Fadallah is played by one of my favorite actors, Cliff Curtis, by the way. And the entire idea is they basically, this is what happens. Wallace pretty much runs this interview, and Lowell Bergman makes him look good. Jeffrey Wiegand, who is played by Russell Crowe in this, is a former executive at the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Company. And Bergman receives some information regarding stuff about Brown and Williamson. So he actually approaches him for this. Wiegand agrees to help him translate technical documents that are out there, but refuses to discuss anything else, citing a confidentiality agreement. Now, and this is incredibly important. What is the entire point of this confidentiality agreement? It's basically a fucking NDA. He cannot discuss anything really bad that kind of happened with him, and the reason why is because he's still getting a pension from these guys, and his entire idea and his entire work was to basically try to turn around with this tobacco company, which, hey, in case you guys haven't noticed, tobacco companies are just bad people to work for.
They're just bad news.
They're just bad news. Look up Philip Morris if you ever really want to see how bad a company can get. Right. A company that literally has more money than certain third world countries and will literally stop at nothing to stop them from like trying to ban smoking. Say, no, this is not allowed. That's how bad these smoking companies are. Anyways, the point of the reason why he's decided not to really go too far into breaking his NDA is because, well, the NDA covers his pension for the rest of his life. Right. And if he decides to alter that in any way, shape, or form, he has the opportunity to basically lose that. And he's fired very early. It's actually the first thing that we've seen with him. He's actually getting fired in the process. However, he refuses to kind of discuss anything else. And then it just so happened that later on, and this may be where a little bit of the Hollywood thing comes in, that B&W, which is the Brown and Williamson, that's how I'll refer to him for the rest of this, coerce him into a more restrictive agreement, basically stating that, you know what, we weren't restrictive enough with you when it comes to this, so now we're going to do this. And Wiegand basically accuses Bergman of betraying him. And the reason why is because information seemed like it might have leaked from Bergman's side. Lowell Bergman, though, as you would come later to find out, is an incredibly loyal guy who believes in protecting the story. And if there's a story, you get the story out there. So Wiegand basically does this interview with 60 Minutes, probably about halfway through this movie, and he basically states that Brown and Williamson had intentionally manipulated its tobacco blend with chemicals, including ammonia, to increase the effect of nicotine in cigarette smoke. So the entire idea that these cigarette heads did not know that nicotine was addictive, he said that's a flat-out, bold-faced lie. They absolutely knew what they were doing in this, and when they were basically questioned on this, that happened. So he became known as a whistleblower.
Yes.
So this is where we're going to take a small little turn into the importance of whistleblowing and why there needs to be protections for them.
Now, okay, so this does equate back to what's going on present day with what's going on with Trump and whatnot. This, when you come across some information that even at one point you didn't even know, and you work for this employer, and you know what they're doing is horrible. So, when you're conflicted with this information, who do you turn to? You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine what the pressure a whistleblower goes to, like, what the fuck? Like, if I say one word of this, my whole life gets turned upside down.
Whistleblowing is important because sometimes you don't know who you can actually trust with the information. Right. So the best thing that you can do is set protections for yourself to get away from harm. In this case, to kind of be a little fair and apparent about information they have. And hey, let's call it what it is. It is, in a sense, snitching. All right.
Oh yeah, it's definitely snitching
because you're snitching, right? But the thing is you're snitching a crime. You're snitching on something that basically that can save human lives or can change the perception of how things are actually done, the importance of upholding certain rules and regulations that a country establishes, and to kind of say and to call people out on their own bullshit.
Right.
You know,
but you're also affecting business.
Yeah, you're affecting businesses, absolutely. But in the event of like Edward Snowden is a tough case because for those of you who don't know who Edward Snowden is a whistleblower who basically released classified information, basically saying that the NSA listens to us. And this is true. We now know that the NSA listens to the phone calls of private citizens, Americans, non-Americans, to basically track down potential terrorist threats and use that information to protect America. So you're having one side of the information saying, hey, Big Brother's protecting us. And the other side saying, Big Brother should not have this access in the first place.
Right.
Which is difficult to kind of say. Because in every sense of the word, because Edward Snowden basically released confidential information, classified information, and whatnot to call out the U.S. government on that, he's probably should be sent to jail for the rest of his life, regardless that he's actually doing the right thing in this case. In the case of Jeffrey Wiegand, though, his role was a private company, and he's risking his own livelihood in terms of his pension and whatnot, and his little girl and whatnot. And in the film, they kind of establish that she has asthma, a pretty severe case of asthma, and kind of the importance of feeling that you should use your right to call bullshit on bullshit.
Right.
Because of that, he's representing his livelihood. In this case, you can see it as a good thing. Lowell Bergman's entire thing is he wants to get the good story out, and he wants to do whatever he can to keep his reputation out there. You know, he's not going to lie to these people. He's not going to fight with these people, so on and so forth.
Now, that's what brings me to my next question. What he represents, what Al Pacino's character represents, is the media side of things, and how oftentimes, you know, the media gets the bad rep of sort of either covering up certain things or kind of controlling the narrative as far as what we should be talking about in regards to a particular situation. And you're kind of covering up what we really should be taking a look at.
Right. Now,
so you get the pushback how people feel about the media.
Now, a couple of things, and again, I don't know how much of this is Hollywood or not, but basically, this is what happens to Wiegand. First of all, his wife leaves him after a whole bunch of of basically terrorist threats come against him. He receives a death threat and finds a bullet in his mailbox,
which is probably like the most G.
That is so G, man.
It's such a G. Like, oh, no. I got you.
Contacts the FBI, but the agents who visit him are hostile. They confiscate his computer. He arranges a meeting with Bregman to kind of discuss like what the interview is basically about, and how he's basically kind of getting scared and whatnot. But he does wind up testifying in Mississippi over the objections of B&W attorneys who have served him with a gag order.
Mm-hmm.
His wife leaves him after that. But the interview goes off, and everything seems like it's going to kind of wrap up. Now it goes to the media side. The media side is hit. 60 Minutes has a little meeting, and seems like it's going to be a good thing. But he's the president of CBS News, basically comes out and says, we're about to be hit with a tort effect,
right?
Or tort law, or tort lawsuit, which is basically a lawsuit that they could be responsible for any damages for them. And because of that, CBS gets scared. They basically decide not to run the interview. So all this bullshit that's happening to Wiegand throughout this entire process,
it's basically for nothing at this point.
Exactly. Which now speaks the question, how important is media censorship?
Right.
Should we have media censorship? What do you think, Jay?
No. But at the same time, we should not be afraid to tell the truth. Like, people literally turn to the media to get their news, to really get information about what's going on in their country, and it's really the media's responsibility to give you the due. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more than just entertainment. It's definitely, if we need to be aware of certain things, there's no in between as far as who should have the bigger say so. It should be what we as the American people are supposed to get.
Right. So,
because we tune into what you do on a daily basis. We rely on you to give us the truth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, afterwards, Bergman, Bergman confronts Cluster, who is the president of CBS News, and he believes that the impending sale of CBS to Westinghouse, which actually enriches both Cluster and the CBS legal counsel, Helen Caparelli, that would basically turn them into very rich people afterwards. So he thinks that they're actually getting bought out to not run this story. Wallace and their executive producer, Don Hewitt, side with him, but Wiegand, getting pissed off, basically terminates contact with them. Investigators later probe Wiegand's personal history and publish a finding in a 500-page dossier. And basically, and Bergman doesn't even learn this until a piece of his is questioning his credibility, is questioning Wiegand's credibility in Wall Street Journal. However, he is able to delay the story from coming out, while an attorney investigator basically like fights it. And basically, after some infighting at CBS, Bergman is told that he needs to go on vacation, as now a modified version of the 60-minute segment airs. Wiegand obviously, is kind of contemplating suicide at this point, which again, this is the harm that kind of comes with this. And Wiegand thinks that Bergman's basically manipulating him, but Bergman defends himself and praises Wiegand and his testimony. And they basically urge to air the full segment to draw public support from the lawsuit.
Right.
Who they're getting a lawsuit filed from Mississippi's governor at this point. He's not able to assist, and he does question his own story. However, in the process, Bergman finally makes a move. Pacino makes a move. He discloses the full story and events to the New York Times, and the Times prints a story on the front page and basically condemns CBS in the process. The Wall Street Journal dismisses this dossier as character assassination against Wiegand, and they print out Wiegand's deposition in there. Don Hewitt, who is Bergman's boss, finds out that he's being betrayed, but Wallace, who was kind of teeter-tottering at this point, agrees that bowing to corporate pressure was a mistake. CBS airs a full segment, including the full interview with Wiegand, and at the end of the movie, Bergman actually resigns from 60 Minutes, believing that the credibility and integrity of it has now been permanently tarnished. Lowell Bergman, in every sense of the word, is a hero in this, because all he's trying to do is push a story that needs to be told. That was the entire point. Wiegand also is a hero for basically being a whistleblower on this. And Wallace, now Mike Wallace has actually spoken out on this before he passed away, and basically stated that he wished more of his side of the story would have came out, because it would have been a lot more helpful if his side of the story would have came out.
Right.
And it was definitely a more damaging thing. I don't think this movie really, I can't really like say, hey, give me your that guy, that girl world.
Not with this one, and the reason why is because the format that we want to go with this show, we kind of want to relate it to what's going on in present day and how it does relate so close to what's going on today. So thank you for the way you broke it down.
Thank you.
I mean, I could have broken it down any better than that.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
A couple of things I want to ask. So, because of the supposed money influence of this, do you think media, when it comes to a story like this, should I say, do you think media has a right to the people to publish a story like this?
Yeah, and they should have that right to do it without fear of the blowback from either the people or either from the people or from the target at hand that you're getting ready to either in so many words expose, so to speak. We live in a day and age to when and I'm not going to use it as an example because of Colin Kaepernick and the NFL, but that there's genuine fear there. If I have information that I want to get out and I want to let the world know, I'm going to give you this raw and uncut. I expect you to play exactly what I'm telling you and not have to worry about getting certain words taken out to kind of spin the narrative. And I now feel like what I'm saying, or correction, what I'm now on TV saying is different than what I told you. But there's tricks out there. You can really work something. You know what I'm saying? I feel as if you're gonna speak the truth, if you're gonna air the truth, you need to air the whole thing. Simple as that.
I think there's a part of me that really agrees with you, but there's also a part of me that really thinks that stories need to be a little bit more concise. A good example of this is kind of what's being said. And the easiest way to look at this is look at the comments, look what people are basically saying when they read a story. And this goes more about our political environment. Talk about, there's a lot of tools that people who are inexperienced or even ignorant use that can kind of format a story in its own mind. The raw truth sometimes also kind of tells a different side of the story also because, hey, it's supposed to be the truth, but at the same time, what the raw truth doesn't always represent is the intent. It doesn't truly state what the motives are. And it's why you kind of need to have more exploratory information. And it's something that my father taught me, which is you can get the raw truth, but there's always going to be some version of the truth that's always true, and there's always going to be some version of the truth that is going to be hard to hear and something that's hard to understand.
Right.
And it's difficult because of course, a trustworthy network, and I am going to bring Fox News into this. Fox News' whole motto is fair and balanced. The talking heads that get the most attention there, however, are opinion hosts. Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, all those talking heads, they're all opinions. Mm-hmm. It's not the truth that's being stated out there. That's why I also appreciate some of the reporting that they do, because at least I know that there are people there that truly believe in speaking the truth, including Mike Wallace's own son, Chris Wallace, who I haven't always liked, but something that I've appreciated. And that being said, there's always going to be a form of media bias that kind of comes out of there, mainly from, sometimes the politics of who the leader is. For example, the Washington Post. Do you know who owns the Washington Post?
No?
That's Jeff Bezos. That's Amazon. So that's why you'll see certain things. That's why you'll see certain things that don't necessarily look bad against Democrats versus bad against Republicans. Do you know who owns the Las Vegas Review-Journal?
No.
Sheldon Adelson.
Okay.
Adelson was a major Republican contributor. So you'll notice in some ways that the LVRJ kind of words some things. It does lean a little bit more right, even though we are what's now considered a blue state, which is just Democratic for those who don't know. Media bias is tough.
It really is.
Media bias is tough, and it's why this movie is very interesting, because you see people who are trying to speak the truth. And sometimes the truth isn't exactly what you like it to be. But I applaud Lowell Bergman for being brave enough to kind of speak on this. Mm-hmm. I applaud Jeffrey Wiegand for putting himself in a really, really tough position. I wish I could say there's a That Chick award, but all of them are kind of evil in this movie.
So should we go right to Quick Hits?
Yeah, let's go to Quick Hits.
Quick Hits. All right. So after filming a scene shot at the school, Russell Crowe pranked young castmates by screaming and ripping out his hair. The realistic gray wig had many fooled and horrified until the crew and Crowe erupted in laughter.
Crowe, I think, was only like in his 30s when this movie dropped.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah. Because the year before that was, or 2 years before that was LA Confidential.
Right. Val Kilmer was considered by Michael Mann for the role of Jeffrey Wiegand. Producer Peter Jan Bruce suggested Russell Crowe.
Good move.
All right. The scene where Mike Wallace is appalled that his broadcast interview does not adequately convey his thoughts because it was cut short for time is an example of a type of censorship called concision. One of Lowell Bergman's Emmy Awards is visible in his bedroom as he is first contacting Wiegand. All right. The original title for this film was Men of the People. That was the working title when scenes were filmed in Israel. The film's cast includes 3 Oscar winners, Russell Crowe, Al Pacino, and Christopher Plummer, and 3 Oscar nominees, Rip Torn, Douglas McGrath, and Lindsay Krause.
Yep. It's a well-casted movie.
And last but not least, Mike Wallace was 76 years old at the time the interview was conducted, is played by a 69-year-old Christopher Plummer.
Couldn't tell the difference.
And that's the insider for you.
This was a long 4 episodes.
It was, but I think this one left out. This was the most important one.
I agree.
To really kind of hammer it home.
I agree.
To let people know where we are.
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Back to the Classics.
BTCC Podcast.
BTCC Podcast. You can always find me under David Danger Neff. Through all those carriers, I help host the Back to the Classics podcast, Cinematic Movie Talk group. I'm real glad you guys are kind of doing the legwork sometimes for some of us. So I promise you we're going to try to get better at that.
Dope. You can find me on all the social media simply at I am Jay Alonzo. That's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. You talk to me and I'll talk back. The Back to Classics Facebook group, Back to Classics, a movie talk group, is up and popping. Go ahead, jump on there and join the conversation. That's it. It's been a long 2 weeks.
Yeah, it has been.
But we will be back with you guys next week with a strong episode. And of course, a special guest.
Next week is a special guest?
Yeah, next week is a special guest.
Hold on, I thought next week was Super Throwback.
Oh, shit, it is. Sorry, take it back. Super Throwback next week. After that, a special guest. With that being said, I am Jay Alonzo. With me, of course, is
Danger Now.
This is Back to Classics. See y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.